Polish President Andrzej Duda flew to the United States for talks. We urgently need to strengthen our security in cooperation with the United States, with whom we are doing so. We hope this will make us more compatible for interaction with the world's strongest military. Polish President Andrzej Duda will meet with former U.S. President and also Republican Party candidate Donald Trump, in addition to official talks with United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. It is not my role to judge whether it will be good if this meeting happens or bad. There will certainly be a lot of controversy. It will be sensational in its own way, especially since Mr. President, it seems, will meet Mr. Donald Trump right after he leaves the courtroom as the trial is underway. Criticism of the meeting was promptly cut off by the U.S. side. For years, foreign governments in the U.S. have made contacts with major party candidates during election periods, just as U.S. diplomats and leaders often make contact with foreign opposition leaders. The United States is our most important partner. They are the guarantor of our security, regardless of which party is in power there. That's why it's so important that relations with both Democrats and Republicans are as good as possible. Prime Minister Donald Tusk and the head of the Foreign Ministry, Radosław Sikorski, act as if they do not understand this principle. They met exclusively with the Democrats, with the Biden administration, but already in Congress and the House of Representatives, the Republicans have the majority, and with those Republicans, who are then very much and even now crucial when it comes to, for example, financial support in repelling Russian aggression. Neither Sikorski nor Tusk met with them. Donald Tusk has repeatedly made his anti-Republican views known. In February of this year, he attacked the American right for allegedly blocking aid to Ukraine. Dear Republican senators of America, Ronald Reagan, who helped millions of us to win back our freedom and independence, must be turning in his grave today. Shame on you. The Polish Prime Minister was silent on the fact that the U.S. aid bill for Ukraine also included provisions to facilitate illegal migration from Mexico to the United States. This was not agreed to by the Republican Party. Leaders of this formation sharply criticized Donald Tusk. Dear Prime Minister, can we start sending you the 300,000 migrants who illegally enter America every month? It would really help us deal with the invasion of our country and go a long way to helping pass the aid bill you want us to approve. Now the issue of aid to Ukraine is back on the American agenda again, thanks to Republican politicians. Exactly at this moment, it is returning to the U.S. Congress, and this issue to the U.S. Congress is brought back by none other than Mike Johnson, against whom both Mr. Sikorski and Mr. Tusk arranged such really primitive and unnecessary fuss. This year, the United States will hold presidential elections. Support for Joe Biden and Donald Trump is evenly matched. A recent poll for the New York Times shows that the Republican candidate enjoys support of 46%, while the incumbent president can count on 45% of the vote. Individual votes could decide the outcome of the election. With 10 million Polish people living in the U.S., it is their decision that could tip the balance. The interest in Polish public opinion, that is, by the Biden and Trump administrations, shows that this is also electoral in nature. Polish President Andrzej Duda has taken a hard line with the United States since the beginning of his presidency. Such a clear position has not been taken by Prime Minister Donald Tusk. Poland's new government prefers cooperation with Berlin and Paris. This week, the Prime Minister praised the German idea of a European dome that would not be able to defend us against Russian aggression. This is no European missile shield. If we are already talking about Europeanness, we can say that this is a European financial shield intended for Germany. Polish President Andrzej Duda will fly to Canada after his visit to the United States, where he will meet with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, among others. Paweł Błoch, TV Republika. European Union leaders are set to discuss how to make the bloc's economy more competitive and dynamic to avoid being left behind by its global competitors at a special summit starting on Wednesday, April 17th. Zach Myers, assistant director at the Center for European Reform think tank, said the EU's competitiveness problem stemmed from past slow growth in comparison to the US and China, technological and commercial challenges for industry and competitors having more cohesive markets.
So I think when we think about the competitiveness problem, there's several elements to it in reality. The first is that the EU has had much slower economic growth than the US or China for decades now. The second is that traditional EU industries like car manufacturing are facing technological and commercial challenges, including from the US and China, which are pumping a lot of public subsidies into their industries. And the third is that the EU's economic competitors, like the US, like China, like India, are much larger, more cohesive markets than the EU, and in some respects, they're becoming more and more protectionist. So when you think about how does Europe answer this problem, it's got to be all about boosting the EU's dynamism and productivity growth.
Moreover, a report by former Italian Prime Minister Enrico Letta is likely to call for reforms to the bloc's single market in the areas of energy, financial services, and telecoms. There is general consensus that the single market operates well for goods, but far less well for services and other intangibles. Experts say member states would have to make compromises and not insist on having national champions in different sectors and look at harmonizing rules between members. Letta told Reuters that Europe's small and medium-sized enterprises should be able to opt for a newly created single framework instead of having to deal with different regulations and tax rules in the 27 EU nations. Leaders are expected to give their political support on Thursday, April 18th, creating a long-delayed European Capital Markets Union, which they hope will attract private capital and help fund the region's transition to a green and digital economy. Leaders will also discuss foreign policy topics, including Russia's war in Ukraine, their relationship with Turkey, and the security situation in the Middle East. Unstable weather and heavy rain overtook parts of the United Arab Emirates on Tuesday, April 16th, flooding some streets and stalling traffic in Dubai. Early on Monday, April 15th, Dubai police issued a public safety advisory, alerting residents to the adverse weather conditions. The United Arab Emirates National Center of Meteorology stated that from Tuesday afternoon to early Wednesday morning, April 17th, another wave of unstable weather was expected to begin from western areas and spread across scattered areas of the country. There were rows and rows of stranded passengers at Dubai International Airport on Wednesday, April 17th, waiting for new flights after major delays and cancellations caused by heavy rains. Some were waiting on the floor for more than 24 hours, a stranded passenger said, at one of the world's busiest airports, with some airlines canceling flights going through Dubai until weather in the UAE improves. We are working hard to recover operations as quickly as possible in very challenging conditions, the airport wrote on X.
From Paris, Dubai is our layover where we were supposed to connect to another flight, which was supposed to take us to Kolkata, India. There are hundreds and thousands of other passengers just like me in this airport who have been waiting for 10 hours, 16 hours, some even for 24 to 30 hours. It's not raining outside. The weather is clear, it's sunny, waterlogging, the water level has gone down. We are uncertain about what's in the near future, whether we will be able to go home, whether we will be able to provide, have some rest. I don't know. People are just lying around in the airport. There is not enough seats and chairs to, let them sit even. They are sitting on the floors.
The UAE witnessed a record rainfall with 254 millimeters falling in Al Ain on Tuesday in less than 24 hours, according to the National Meteorology Center. That was the most since records began in 1949, before the country was established in 1971. Authorities and communities across the United Arab Emirates were clearing debris on Wednesday, April 17th, after the torrential downpour which killed at least one person and caused damage to homes and businesses. Although heavy rains had eased by late Tuesday, disruptions were continuing on Wednesday, with Emirates Airlines suspending check-in for passengers departing Dubai airport until midnight. Passengers departing for Dubai were advised against heading to the airport and to check their flight status with their airline. UAE media and social media posts showed significant damage in parts of the country from the torrential downpour, including collapsed roads and homes inundated by water. One of Dubai's main highways, the Sheikh Zayed Road, was partially flooded, leaving people stuck in traffic for hours. The Swedish city Malmö, host of this year's Eurovision Song Contest in May, is confident in its security measures and prepared for possible unrest on the sidelines of the event, city officials said on Wednesday, April 17th. While the Eurovision Song Contest bills itself as a non-political event, the global political backdrop frequently weighs in, and this year's contest will take place amid protests and boycotts over the Gaza war in several countries worldwide. Malmö in Sweden has already seen protests against Israel's participation in the upcoming contest, the world's biggest of its kind.
Och vår inställning är att alla är välkomna.
Our position is that everyone is welcome, anyone who wants to contribute to what Eurovision stands for. At the same time, we understand that there is concern among visitors based on the security situation in the world today. But we work together with these different actors around security issues, and we have a good and long history of managing big events. So we are confident and fully confident that various security partners who work with the different parts make good and relevant assessments that we adhere to. Last week, the European Broadcasting Union, which organizes the contest, urged people to refrain from online abuse, hate speech, and harassment directed at some participating artists. The organizers' decision to include the Israeli broadcaster Can has sparked protests from some artists and ministers in Europe. I think it's important that everyone feels they can come to Eurovision and not feel anxious. We will be there with a large police force. We will get help from all over Sweden. Swedish police are solid for this event. We work together, and we also have cooperation with our Nordic police colleagues. The European Broadcasting Union has said the song contest is an apolitical event and not a contest between governments. Malmö expects guests from 80 countries for the event.